Among all the terrifying shows and movies, A Nightmare on Elm Street stands out. Have you watched the most terrifying scenes from A Nightmare on Elm Street? If you haven't, don't worry, because in today's video, we are about to talk about the 10 most terrifying scenes from A Nightmare on Elm Street. Tune in! Hello, and welcome back to our YouTube channel. Before getting into the video, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you don't miss any future videos. Now, without any further delay, let's get straight into it. Number 10. Tina's death. Tina Gray's death in the opening scene of A Nightmare on Elm Street is one of the most iconic and terrifying scenes in horror cinema. Tina is chased by a mysterious figure with knives for fingers, which disappears suddenly. Tina then notices a strange sound, and she is dragged up into the ceiling by an unseen force. The use of practical effects, such as wires and a rotating room, creates a sense of disorientation and confusion as Tina struggles to break free. Her nightgown is torn and her body is slashed by the unseen figure's knives, creating a gruesome and violent scene. Finally, Tina's body drops back down onto the bed, dead and covered in blood, setting the tone for the rest of the film and establishing Freddy Krueger as a horror icon. Number 9. Nancy's dream. In A Nightmare on Elm Street, Nancy Thompson has a terrifying dream in which she is stalked by Freddy Krueger. In the dream, Nancy attempts to flee from Freddy and ends up in a boiler room. The scene is eerie and unsettling, with the use of shadows and eerie music adding to the sense of dread. As Nancy tries to escape, Freddy appears and attacks her with his knives for fingers, creating a tense and frightening atmosphere. As Nancy struggles to defend herself, she discovers that she can pull Freddy out of her dream and into the real world. This scene is a pivotal moment in the film, as it reveals Nancy's resourcefulness and sets the stage for the final showdown between her and Freddy. Number 8. Glenn Lance's death. In A Nightmare on Elm Street, Glenn Lance's death is depicted in a surreal scene. As he sleeps, Glenn is pulled into his bed by an unseen force, and the bed then spews out a fountain of blood. The use of practical effects, such as a rotating room and a giant waterbed, creates a sense of horror as Glenn's body is twisted and mangled. The tension builds as the scene is accompanied by eerie sound effects and music. The scene ends with Glenn's mother discovering his lifeless body in a bloody mess. This sequence is an evidence to the film's ability to blend surrealism and horror, creating a nightmarish and unforgettable moment in horror cinema that continues to shock and disturb audiences today. Number 7. Nancy's mother reveals Freddy was burned to death. In A Nightmare on Elm Street, one of the most disturbing scenes involves Nancy's mother revealing that she and the other parents burned Freddy Krueger to death after he was released from jail. She shows Nancy his glove, which she kept hidden in the basement. The scene is shot in a dimly lit basement, adding to the feeling of unease. The revelation that the parents took the law into their own hands and murdered a man adds a layer of moral ambiguity to the story. This scene sets the stage for Nancy's final confrontation with Freddy Krueger, as she realizes she must face him alone. It adds depth to the character of Nancy and creates urgency as she battles to survive against the vengeful spirit of Freddy Krueger. Number 6. Nancy's bathtub scene. In A Nightmare on Elm Street, the bathtub scene is a terrifying and suspenseful moment in which Nancy falls asleep in her bathtub and is pulled under the water by Freddy Krueger, who attempts to drown her. The use of water creates a feeling of vulnerability and claustrophobia, while clever camera angles and sound design heighten the horror. The tension builds to a crescendo, with the music becoming more intense and frenzied until Nancy manages to break free and escape. The scene uses simple elements to create a truly terrifying experience for the viewer. Number 5. The body bag scene. The scene of Tina's body being dragged down the high school hallway in a body bag is a disturbing and iconic moment. In this nightmare sequence, Nancy sees the body bag moving of its own accord, leaving a trail of blood and gore behind it. The scene is shot in slow motion, with eerie music adding to the sense of dread and unease. As the body bag gets closer, Nancy tries to run away, but she is frozen in fear as the bag opens to reveal Tina's mangled and bloodied corpse. This moment is a stark reminder of the horror and violence that is possible in the dream world, and it is a chilling portrayal of the consequences of Freddy Krueger's actions. Number 4. Freddy's transformation into a snake-like creature. One of the most unforgettable scenes in A Nightmare on Elm Street is Freddy Krueger's transformation into a grotesque snake-like creature. In this surreal and terrifying sequence, Nancy is trapped in her dream, trying to escape from Freddy's clutches. But as she turns to face him, she sees him changing before her eyes. His skin cracks and splits, revealing writhing masses of snakes and insects that writhe and crawl around his body. Number 3. Phone call from Freddy. In this scene, Nancy answers the phone to hear Freddy's voice on the other end, taunting her with his sinister laughter and creepy one-liners. This scene is shot in a way that emphasizes Nancy's isolation and vulnerability, as she is alone in her house with no one to help her. The phone itself becomes an eerie and ominous presence, with its incessant ringing and Freddy's voice coming through the receiver in a distorted, ghostly tone. The scene is a masterclass in suspense, building tension and dread as Nancy realizes that she is not safe, even in her own home. The phone call has become an iconic moment in horror cinema, a chilling reminder that sometimes the most terrifying things are the ones that are unseen and unheard. Number 2. Final Showdown. In the final showdown of A Nightmare on Elm Street, Nancy faces off against Freddy Krueger in the dream world. Armed with her knowledge of dreams and her own ingenuity, Nancy is determined to defeat Freddy once and for all. As they battle, Nancy manages to gain the upper hand, finally turning her back on Freddy and refusing to give him any more power over her. With a scream of rage, Freddy disappears, seemingly defeated. However, as Nancy wakes up in her bed, she realizes that something is terribly wrong. The wounds she sustained in the dream world are still there, and she sees Freddy's hat lying beside her. Suddenly, Freddy bursts through the door, now in the real world and more dangerous than ever. In a heart-pounding finale, Nancy manages to use her wits and resourcefulness to trap Freddy and set him on fire, seemingly destroying him for good. Number 1. Freddy's appearance. Freddy Krueger's appearance is a terrifying aspect of the film. His scarred face and burned skin are immediately unsettling, and his signature fedora hat and red and green sweater have become instantly recognizable symbols of the horror genre. However, it is his glove with razor-sharp blades attached to each finger that truly sets him apart as a terrifying and unique villain. The sound of the blades scraping against each other as he moves his hand has become synonymous with his presence and sends chills down the spines of viewers. The way he uses his glove to kill his victims is gruesome, as he slices and stabs them with precision and glee. Freddy's appearance and weapon of choice have become integral parts of the character's legacy and have made him one of the most iconic horror movie villains of all time. That's it for today's video. Which horror scene is your favorite? Let us know in the comments below. We would love to hear from you. We hope you enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up, and we will see you in the next video.